So I want to talk a little bit about this rifle in front of you and about PSA's customer service, or yeah, really tempted to say lack thereof, but they did they did serve the customer, I guess. Anyway, we'll get into it. So this rifle was bought in parts. I bought this lower. This is again, this is PSA. This is H&R. Their retro stuff. So I got this lower. This is the XM16E1 lower. I had it for a while before I finally got this upper. Now, I am in a state that PSA does not do business with pretty much at all. So I had to send this whole upper assembly to a neighboring state and then go get it. I also had to jump through hoops like using a privacy credit card because they wouldn't even do business with me, if I was using a credit card that was based in the state I'm in. So huge pain in the ass to actually get this thing together. But anyway, I jumped through the hoops. I finally put it together. It's got a standard rifle buffer, rifle, A1 buffer tube. It's got their, well, I can't do it now with one hand, but it's got their, H&R chrome bolt carrier group in it. 20-inch barrel, 1 in 12 twist. This is surplus. This is surplus. That's original. That's new manufacturer, but I painted it. I'd say it looks like a pretty good match. What do you say? Anyway, so take it to the range. Shooting, the ammo I had on hand that day was, weak stuff. It was like Remington or Federal, just 223 spec. And this thing would not work at all with it. It would never lock open on an empty mag. It wouldn't even get to an empty mag because it couldn't get through a full mag. I think it was hardly ever chambering the next round. But it was sometimes ejecting the spent shell. It was ejecting it just a couple feet away from the gun. It was very weak ejection. Emailed PSA customer service. I let them know about the issues. And they said, well, try it with M193 spec, hot stuff. So, all right. I went out the next time and I used Hornady Frontier 55 grain. Always heard that was pretty hot stuff. It seems hot in my other ARs. A little bit of improvement. I think when I was doing that, it was ejecting every spent shell, but it was not chambering the next one. I think it was only chambering the next one about half the time. So it went from never chambering the next one with the weak stuff to half the time chambering the next one with the hot stuff. Still never locking open on empty. So I emailed them again. I let them know that, it's still having this problem. At this point, I probably had, 70, 100 rounds in. And they got back to me. They're talking to me. They admit, like, yes, there is a problem clearly with that I'll just say upper. The upper is the thing that I bought fully assembled. So there is a problem with the upper. We'll take a look at it for you. Lifetime warranty, right? So I send them my info about, where I'm going to be shipping it from, where they got to ship it back to, all that crap. And they go, because of the heavy firearm laws in your state, we cannot do any business, with you. And we can't even do business if we know that we're going to ship it to another state, but its intention is for it to go back into your state, which we don't do business with. So they just gave me a big f you, basically. And, their product is clearly flawed. They give me that kind of an answer, but that's not even like what I'm pissed off about. It's the fact that, as far as I know, there is no state in this country that regulates uppers. Now, maybe there is, but I know for a fact, and it would be a very quick and easy thing to corroborate, I know that my state does not regulate that stuff. So I'm hesitant to even jump into this part. I will say that it's a miracle that they actually were able to help me. I would say that 95% of the time, at least, you're going to be out of luck. So this is my warning. If you're in one of those states that PSA says they don't deal with, don't deal with them, because they're not kidding. Like, they will not deal with you. They won't fix their product. You know, it doesn't matter if maybe you lived in Texas, you bought a gun from them, and then you moved to, you know, name your shithole that they don't do business with. They won't fix their gun that you bought when you lived in Texas and then ship it back to you. They won't even forget about the gun. They won't fix your upper. They won't fix anything. So, anyway, they give me that, you know, line of BS. Oh, we can't deal with your state because of the heavy firearms laws. Meanwhile, this isn't even a firearm. It's an upper receiver that they need to take a look at and fix. So I'm definitely rambling at this point, but that was going to be the way it was going to go, and I was actually able to get them to make an exception for me, but I really don't think that's going to be the case with the vast majority of you. And you know, I just want to say one thing about that policy of theirs. I understand why they do the blanket ban on dealing with a state as a default. I mean, if they don't want to deal with New York, California, Hawaii as their default answer, I get it, because that prevents things from slipping through the cracks. But when you have a situation like, you know, I could have been living in a different state when I got this, and then I moved where I am. When you have a situation like that, you need to be willing to bend your rules, because at that point, you can then take a look at that on an individual level. And it's not something that's slipping through the cracks. It's something that's you're looking at. It's coming across your desk, and then you now have time to say, hey, does this rule that we abide by even make sense in this situation? Is there any state that actually regulates the upper receiver assembly to a firearm? I'm sure you could get your lawyer on the phone and have the answer within 20 seconds. No, at least not in my state's case. No, it's totally good to go. You can service it, you can send it back. So again, if your default answer is we don't want to deal with your state, that's fine. But when someone in that state somehow, by some means, has your product and it's not working, and then they call you up, you should take the time to sit down, look at the legality of dealing with that. Hopefully that does not take too long. You got lawyers, I assume. Look at the legality, find out if it's legal to take possession and then ship back. If it is, help that person out. Don't just stick with your rules that say we will never deal with your state at all. You. HK, we hate you, right? But yeah, you just got to, you need to not be so robotic in your responses. Your name is really at risk of being hurt with many stories like this. I mean, I'm obviously nobody. I'm not even trying to hurt their name right now. I'm literally just trying to, if anyone comes across this and they're thinking that they want something like this, I'm just putting the warning out there that PSA is not a perfect company. Every company has their QC issues, and if you are behind that iron curtain, they're almost certainly not going to help you out if you find yourself having an issue. So they do take it back, they do their work on it, they send it back to me. They tell me that they opened the gas port hole. Now, I have a borescope. I sent it down there and I took a picture of the hole at first. Oh, because this is another part. I tried to take this apart myself. I could not for the life of me punch the pins out of that front sight post. And yeah, I was punching in the right direction. I don't know what the hell they do. It was locked on like you would not believe. I started to mar the finish. I more than started. I did mar the finish. But yeah, it was impossible. I would have been more than willing to do all this stuff myself, but I couldn't, because I was going to measure the gas port hole. And I wasn't physically able to do it. So they get it, they send it back to me, they say they enlarged the gas hole, whatever. I look in there with my borescope. I took a picture, and then I compared it to the picture that I took on my borescope before. They said that they enlarged it to the top end of the spec. Well, when I compared the before and after pictures on that gas port hole, either it was way undersized before, and then they enlarged it to correct size, or it was already roughly correct size, and while they say that they, sent it to the top of the spec, maybe their spec is really big, I don't know, because it was a much larger hole than before. Like, it was not just a couple thousandths bigger. There's no way. I know it's a little hard to compare camera images, but, you know, I did a few things, I did a few comparisons. I'm reasonably confident that there was many thousandths of enlargement to that hole. So far, I have shot it. It does work. It works with the weak stuff. It works with the hot stuff. I do not know how to tell if these rifles are overgassed, because since they do not have a brass deflector, the brass kind of just goes straight back anyway, it seems like. I know on other ARs with the brass deflector, you can tell if it's undergassed because it'll go straight back. If it's properly gassed, it's going to go about 3 o'clock. If it's overgassed, it's going to go forward. I don't think that's the case with these that don't have a deflector, so I really don't know how to tell if this is overgassed or not. But you know, I guess I'm happy as long as it's working. It's not like I am shipping out to Vietnam tomorrow. So this was really just more of a warning to anyone who lives in a state that PSA is not friendly with. They have their issues, they have their quality control issues, and if you are unfortunate enough to be in a state that they don't want to do business with, you are going to have a very hard time getting them to honor a warranty claim. And it is almost never going to work out for you, I would say. But, you know, I'm happy enough that I was able to wiggle my way through the cracks, and it is pretty nice. I distressed the finish of all these parts. Those used to be pretty much jet black, and they just didn't look right. So just take some vinegar. Actually, no, I took some blue and rust remover and rubbed the parts down with it for some things that did not take too well to that. They were staying black. That's when I took the cup of vinegar and I just let the black part just sit in there for a few hours, and that seemed to work pretty well. All right, one final piece on this build. This is the loosest fitting upper and lower that I have on any AR. If the side to side, I really can't show you, but it has so much room to wiggle side to side. The upper has room to wiggle between the two lower, what do you call that? Tangs? I don't know what that is, but you know, the pinholes. The upper can wiggle side to side in those quite a bit, and also the up and down play in the rear of it is pretty big too. I have an AccuWedge in there right now, but that does not help the side to side wiggle that you would get in there. But yeah, I'm just surprised at the sloppy fitment between the upper and lower, because I think that was Nodak Spud who PSA bought out and then changed them into H&R. I thought it was Nodak Spud that made the uppers and lowers, and I always thought that they had a pretty good reputation. So I don't know if they're still the ones making them, or if it's now like PSA employees make them in-house and then they go by PSA's tolerances. I don't know, but I have PSA. I have other PSA uppers that fit fine on like Anderson lowers, so I don't think their specs are off for at least the upper side of things. I don't know what their lower tolerances are. Maybe that's the issue. But yep. Anyway, that's my piece on the PSA H&R XM16E1. That's a mouthful. Hope people got some knowledge and insight about how PSA does business with people that they deem unworthy, in states that they deem unworthy to have any commercial relationship with. So that's my PSA of the day. What a great pun.